Sean Searle here. Thanks for taking a minute of your time. The circus, never a big fan, but on the few occasions that I did go to circuses, I was always taken with the trapeze artists. They're extraordinary athletes. Now, if a trapeze artist does something in the air that's breathtaking or awe-inspiring, we all gasp and stand in awe of them. If they do it without a net, we call it, what's the word? Oh yeah, stupid. If you're doing something in the air that's amazing, doing it without a net doesn't make it more amazing. It just means you're disregarding the inevitable. You're not prepared for, not if, but when you miss. Oh, ah, oh. Now, I work with a lot of people in the area of personal finance, and I'm amazed at how many people work without a net. People don't have any type of emergency fund set back, and if they do, it's usually pretty thin. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that today. First of all, it's important that you're aware that an emergency fund is one of the most critical components to financial success and building wealth. You can plan to buy a nice car, you can save toward a down payment for a home, you can fund your 401k plan at work toward retirement, and without an emergency fund, there's a good chance that none of those goals are ever really going to see fruition, at least in the way you hope they will. You see, without an emergency fund, when, not if, an emergency occurs, you end up rating those saving programs and therefore undermining the success of the whole picture. So how does one go about building an emergency fund? Well, you begin with setting a goal. A good goal to start with is at least 3 months of living expenses in a savings account. Now, if you can get to 6 or 12 months, obviously, even better. But let's just start with 3. It takes a lot of patience and discipline just to hit that 3-month mark. So now we have a goal. What next? Well, the first step is to go to the bank and open a savings account. Now, you can open an account at your local bank, but I'll share a thought with you. I know a young couple who very wisely opened an account with a bank out of town because they wanted to make it a little more difficult to get to the money. When you open the account, open it without a debit card or check writing privileges, because as you're funding the account and the money's growing, what you don't need is a debit card burning a hole through your pocket when you're standing in the middle of Bass Pro. Set up a direct deposit out of your paycheck so that you never see it. You won't miss it. You'll be fine. If you have a fixed amount that you're setting aside for savings out of each pay period, attribute about 80% of that savings money to the emergency fund until you, say, reach a 6-week living expense goal. And then you can lower that a little bit until you reach the 3-month. Once you reach the 3-month, let off the accelerator a little more, but always be putting money into the account because it is inevitable you're going to go to it. Obviously, one of the greatest threats to an emergency fund is when it grows. You see, we love our family, we love our kids, and so we want to have a bigger, better Christmas or a bigger, better birthday or a wonderful vacation to create memories with our family, so we tend to raid the cookie jar. Again, that's why an out-of-town account without debit card or check writing is a good idea. You want it to be a little difficult to get to it. Set your jaw. Determine that that money does not exist unless there's a legitimate emergency. You lose employment and you're going to miss a house payment, probably ought to go to the emergency fund. Or if you have an illness or a surgery that keeps you out of work for a while, clearly you may need the emergency fund. Or maybe it's your only vehicle that's reliable and the transmission goes out. Probably need the emergency fund. Or maybe the Super Bowl's 2 weeks away and you'll only have a 45-inch TV. Not an emergency. You see, once you have that safety net, that emergency fund in place, you're able to go more aggressively toward other savings goals like vehicles, college, retirement, because you know you're not going to have to raid those funds when the inevitable happens. There's another bonus to this. There is an incredible peace of mind that goes with having some money set back for emergencies. When you do go to it, when you have to use it for an emergency, Begin then to up the amount you're funding it again to get it back up to its minimum. You've been great to give me some of your time. We'll talk again soon.